Manila Papers, Corruption, Empire, and the Forensic Search for Truth. Manila has always been a city of secrets. From the colonial intrigues of the 1890s to the corruption networks of the 1960s to the shadow economies of the 2020s, the Philippine capital has been shaped by deals made behind closed doors, some documented, some buried, some still haunting the present. Today we explore 3 eras of hidden power. The Stonehill Manila Papers, a 1960s corruption archive that nearly toppled a government. The rise of POGO gambling hubs reshaping Manila's economy and crime landscape. And the Spanish government's secret dealings with the Aguinaldo revolutionary government, a story of diplomacy, betrayal, and imperial exit strategies. Through these stories we examine the forensic implications, how evidence is preserved, manipulated, or erased, and what these cases reveal about truth, power, and accountability in the Philippines. Chapter 1. The Stonehill Manila Papers. In the early 1960s, Manila was rocked by a scandal that exposed the inner machinery of political corruption. At the centre was Harry Stonehill, an American businessman who built a multi-million-dollar empire in tobacco, cement, real estate, and manufacturing. But Stonehill's real power came from his network of political payoffs, a system meticulously recorded in what investigators later called the Manila Papers. The raid. On March 2, 1962, the National Bureau of Investigation raided Stonehill's offices. They seized wiretapping equipment, jamming devices, secret ledgers, and 6 truckloads of documents. Among them, the Blue Book, listing over 200 politicians allegedly receiving bribes. Correspondence implicating cabinet members, senators, and even presidents. Financial trails showing how Stonehill influenced legislation and protected his businesses. The political explosion. The Manila Papers threatened to expose an entire political ecosystem. But instead of prosecution, Stonehill was deported, a move that destroyed the chain of evidence and protected powerful figures. Forensic implications. The Stonehill case is a classic example of evidence suppression, chain of custody failure, political interference in forensic investigations, loss of primary documents, critical for prosecution. It remains one of the Philippines' greatest what-ifs, a moment when the truth was within reach, then deliberately removed. Chapter 2, POGO Manila, a new shadow economy. Fast forward to the 2010s and 2020s, Manila becomes the regional hub for POGOs, Philippine offshore gaming operators. Officially, they are online gambling companies serving foreign clients. Unofficially, many became fronts for money laundering, human trafficking, cyber fraud, illegal detention, prostitution, bribery of local officials. The new Manila Papers. Just like Stonehill's ledgers, POGO hubs generated their own paper trails, fake passports, ghost employee lists, cash flow ledgers, cryptocurrency, laundering records, bribery logs for local officials and police. These documents, seized in multiple raids, reveal a parallel economy operating within the Philippines, one that thrives on weak regulation and political protection. Forensic challenges. POGO investigations highlight modern forensic issues. Digital forensics, encrypted servers, VPN masking, cloud-based evidence, transnational crime, Chinese, Filipino, and offshore actors. Victim identification, trafficked workers with no documentation. Financial forensics, crypto laundering and shell companies, parallels with Stonehill. Both Stonehill and POGOs show foreign actors exploiting local corruption. Political protection enabling criminal enterprise. Evidence trails that implicate high-ranking officials, attempts to suppress or sanitize investigations. The Manila Papers of the 1960s and the POGO documents of the 2020s mirror each other. Different eras, same vulnerabilities. Chapter 3, Spain, Aguinaldo, and the secret deals of 1898 to 1901, long before Stonehill or POGOs. Manila was already a stage for political manoeuvring. During the Philippine Revolution, the Spanish colonial government engaged in covert negotiations with Emilio Aguinaldo's revolutionary government. The Pact of Biak-na-Bato, 1897. Spain paid Aguinaldo and other leaders to go into exile in Hong Kong. The deal included 800,000 pesos indemnity, promises of reforms, a temporary cessation of hostilities. But Spain never intended to honour the reforms. The pact was a strategic pause, not a peace agreement. The Spanish-American War, 1898, as Spain prepared to lose the Philippines to the United States, it negotiated secretly to preserve Spanish honour, avoid surrendering to Filipino revolutionaries, transfer Manila to the Americans through a staged mock battle. 3.3 Forensic and documentary evidence historians rely on Spanish diplomatic cables, U.S. military reports, Aguinaldo's Hong Kong correspondence, the Treaty of Paris, 1898, Spanish Cortes transcripts. These documents reveal a pattern. Spain preferred to hand the Philippines to another empire rather than recognize Filipino independence. 3.4 The pattern, across eras. Across 1898, 1962, and the 2020s, we see recurring themes. Foreign powers negotiating over Filipino sovereignty. Local elites caught between cooperation and resistance. Documents that reveal uncomfortable truths. Attempts to bury or distort evidence. For Chapter 4, Forensic Truth, Evidence and the Politics of Memory. What ties these three eras together is the struggle over truth, how it is documented, preserved, weaponized, or erased. 4.1 Evidence as Power. The Manila Papers could have restructured Philippine politics. POGO documents expose modern corruption networks. Spanish diplomatic archives reveal colonial strategies and betrayals. 4.2 The Forensic Lens. Forensic science teaches us that evidence must be preserved without political interference. Chain of custody is sacred. Documentation is the backbone of accountability. Destroyed evidence is not just a legal loss, it is a historical wound. 4.3 Why truth is difficult in the Philippines. Political dynasties, weak institutions, foreign influence, historical revisionism, lack of archival transparency. These factors create an environment where truth is fragile and easily manipulated. Conclusion. The unfinished story. From the Spanish colonial exit to the Stonehill scandal to the rise of POGOs, Manila has been shaped by forces that operate in the shadows. Each era leaves behind documents, some preserved, some destroyed, some still hidden. These papers are more than records. They are forensic artifacts of power. They show us who benefited, who suffered, and who controlled the narrative. The question now is simple. Will the next generation demand transparency, or will Manila's secrets continue to shape its future? Kahit saan merong bribe and corruption. Kahit nasa paraiso, merong nanunukso at merong biktima, lalo na sa labas ng paraiso. Sa impyerno yata lang walang bribery o corruption. Wala pang nakakalabas doon kahit nasuhulan si Satanas. Sa China, North Korea, Russia, and Iran, kahit saan meron corruption, bigasham sang gikabikan. Kahit saan merong bribe and corruption. Kahit nasa paraiso merong nanunukso at merong biktima lalo na sa labas ng paraiso. Sa impyerno yata lang walang bribery o corruption, wala pang nakakalabas doon kahit nasuhulan si Satanas. Sa China, North Korea, Russia and Iran, kahit saan meron korupsyon. How ordinary Filipinos can break the cycle, from Stonehill to POGOs to today. For more than a century, the Philippines has faced repeating patterns of corruption, foreign interference, and political impunity. From the Stonehill scandal of the 1960s to the rise of POGO hubs in the 2020s, to the colonial negotiations that shaped the nation's birth, the story seems to loop. But what if ordinary Filipinos could break that cycle? What if the power to change history has always been in the hands of the people? Today we explore how everyday citizens can build a culture of accountability, truth, and forensic thinking, and finally stop history from repeating itself. Chapter 1. Why history keeps repeating. The Stonehill papers revealed a network of bribery that reached the highest levels of government. POGO hubs exposed modern systems of trafficking, money laundering, and political protection. Spanish-Aguinaldo negotiations showed how foreign powers shaped the country's destiny behind closed doors. Across these eras, one pattern stands out. Ordinary Filipinos were kept outside the room. Corruption thrives when citizens are excluded, uninformed, or discouraged from participating. Chapter 2 addressed to Wadikabachi. What ordinary Filipinos can do. Here are the most powerful, practical actions ordinary Filipinos can take. Not abstract ideals, but real strategies that have worked in other countries. 1. Demand transparency as a civic norm. Ask for documents. Ask for budgets. Ask for procurement records. When citizens normalize transparency, politicians adapt. 2. Strengthen local accountability. Attend barangay assemblies. Track local projects. Corruption begins locally, so does reform. 3. Support independent journalism. Investigative reporters exposed Stonehill. Journalists uncovered POGO abuses. A democracy without journalism is blind. 4. Practice everyday forensic thinking. Document. Verify. Preserve evidence. A population that documents is a population that cannot be deceived. 5. Teach historical literacy. History repeats when it is sanitized. Teach the uncomfortable parts, especially to the young. 6. Vote with a long memory. Track patterns, not promises. Reward system builders, not entertainers. 7. Build citizen coalitions. 1 complaint is ignored, 100 complaints become a movement. 8. Protect whistleblowers. Truth-tellers are the backbone of accountability. 9. Normalize civic courage. Courage is contagious. Small acts of integrity ripple outward. 10. Build institutions that outlast personalities. Digital governance, independent oversight, professional civil service, systems, not saviors. Chapter 3. The Forensic Mindset. Forensic thinking isn't just for crime labs. It's a way of seeing the world. It means observing carefully, asking for evidence, following the chain of events, documenting what you see, protecting the truth from distortion. When ordinary Filipinos adopt this mindset, corruption becomes harder to hide and easier to confront. History doesn't repeat because Filipinos are weak. It repeats because systems are weak. But systems can be rebuilt. Cultures can shift. Citizens can transform a nation. The power to break the cycle has always been in the hands of ordinary Filipinos. One documented act, one courageous question, one community effort at a time. Fade to black. 2. Bilingual Civic Education Module. Pagputol sa paulit-ulit na kasaysayan. Civic power, forensic thinking, and accountability. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, learners will be able to identify historical patterns of corruption and foreign influence, explain the role of citizens in accountability, apply basic forensic thinking skills to civic life, practice documentation and verification in real-world scenarios. Section 1. Historical patterns. The Philippines has experienced recurring cycles of corruption because institutions were weak and citizens were excluded from decision-making. Paulit-ulit ang siklo ng korupsyon dahil mahina ang mga institusyon at hindi isinama ang mga mamamayan sa proseso ng pagpapasya. Section 2. Civic actions. Ordinary citizens can strengthen democracy by demanding transparency, supporting journalism, and practicing documentation. Puwedeng palakasin ng mga mamamayan ang demokrasya sa pamamagitan ng paghingi ng transparency, pagsuporta sa malayang pamamahayag at pagdodokumento ng mga pangyayari. Section 3. Forensic Thinking English. Forensic thinking means observing carefully, verifying information, and preserving evidence. Tagalog. Ang forensic thinking ay ang maingat na pag-oobserba, pagberipika ng impormasyon at pag-iingat ng ebidensya. Section 4. Community Activities. Ang ating magagawa paunti-unti document a local issue. Tagalog. Idokumento ang isang lokal na issue. Track a public project. Subaybayan ang isang proyekto ng barangay. Analyze a historical case using forensic logic. Suriin ang isang kasong pangkasaysayan gamit ang forensic logic. Create a transparency map of your community. Gumawa ng transparency map ng inyong komunidad. 3. Forensic Thinking Toolkit for Ordinary Citizens. A simple, practical, trauma-informed toolkit anyone can use. A. The 5-step forensic mindset 1. Observe, notice details, timelines, inconsistencies 2. Document, photos, screenshots, receipts, dates. 3. Verify, cross-check with official sources 4. Preserve, keep copies in safe places 5. Report, use proper channels, anonymously if needed. B. Everyday tools, a notebook or notes app, a phone camera, a folder for receipts and permits, a timeline template, a list of local reporting channels. C. Red flags to watch for. Sudden changes in project budgets, missing documents, conflicting statements, cash-only transactions, pressure to not ask questions. D. Community-level forensic practices, barangay transparency boards, citizen audit groups, public project monitoring teams, social media documentation hubs. E. Trauma-informed safety tips. Never confront alone, document quietly, use anonymous reporting when needed, prioritize personal safety over evidence collection. Sa impyerno lang yata ang walang graft and corruption, dahil wala pang nakakalabas doon. Sa impyerno lang yata ang walang graft and corruption, dahil wala pang nakakalabas doon. Sa impyerno lang yata ang walang graft and corruption, dahil wala pang nakakalabas doon. Merong isang autonomous university sa Calabarzon. Ito ang Lyceum of the Philippines, Batangas, na nag-o-offer ng criminology, forensic science, double degree program ng criminology forensic science, masters, and doctorate degree. Mag-enroll na doon para ma-improve naman ang forensic investigation capability ng Calabarzon o Pilipinas. Merong isang autonomous university sa Calabarzon. Ito ang Lyceum of the Philippines, Batangas, na nag-o-offer ng criminology, forensic science, double degree program ng criminology forensic science, masters, and doctorate degree. Mag-enroll na doon para ma-improve naman ang forensic investigation capability ng Calabarzon o Pilipinas. Pray for the welfare of the Philippines and Filipinos. Pray for the welfare of the Philippines and Filipinos. Pray for the welfare of the Philippines and Filipinos. Pray for the welfare of the Philippines and Filipinos.